Good morning, friends. This is Daddy Day Trader with an accountability series update number 16. We're back from the holidays. We had a great time with our kids. It's always magical watching them open their presents and seeing them light up. So that was a lot of fun yesterday, and kind of came back today feeling good, ready to trade. And the market seemed to me, at least from my setup, to be super choppy. And every trade I took, I wasn't in very long because I would immediately get stopped out as it was, breaking VWAP and showing signs of volume. So today was, in the past I would have said it was a frustrating day, but I do feel like I traded within my trade book and was waiting for proper setups. And with more experience and sort of intuition, maybe I wouldn't have taken some trades today, but you kind of have to keep trying and trying to build up that market wisdom and that feel for what may or may not be a good trade. So what I'd like to do today is I took probably like 7 trades, and maybe 5 were red and 2 were green. So I want to do a quick recap of each trade to see if there's anything I can learn from it, or at least from what I see, and go kind of one by one in my recap today. There was one stock, ARBB, that I traded pre-market that I made a little bit of money on, and then it sort of reversed on me, and then when the market opened, it like went way up. So if I had something I missed today, it was certainly that one, as it dipped below VWAP and then came back up again, but not really my trade because it wasn't trending up through VWAP. It sort of was sitting at VWAP, and then at the market open, it tapped it and went way up. So I don't know, I'm not super disappointed I missed that one, but I was in that trade, but I did get stopped out. So, and then 7 or 8 minutes later, it goes up $2 a share, which is okay. So let's stay tuned for the recap. I feel today was a pretty good staying in my lane day. And in the past, I would have certainly been triggered by a $2.74 loss. And it might have bothered me the whole day, but I don't feel too bad today. I don't feel super triggered. I kind of just like, hey, that was how today went. You may have overtraded a little bit, but all things said, you stayed pretty well within your trade book. You didn't get triggered. You didn't take crazy trades to make back any money. So I'm feeling pretty good, and I don't think I'm going to be hard on myself about this red day. Got my red hat on, and that's okay. I mean, the loss is more than I'd like it to be, but it's not my max loss. My max loss is currently $4. So we'll come back tomorrow. We'll look for new setups, and hopefully it won't be quite as choppy, and we'll get some nice breaks of VWAP that will actually have some follow through without kind of being super choppy. And we'll just keep at it, because this is a long journey. It's not supposed to be easy. And if you can master, or at least if I can master my psychology about red days and not seeing them as like as a broken system that I have, instead seeing them as like learning opportunities, I'll be much better off of a trader. And I'm trying to do that today and feeling pretty good about it. Like, yeah, it wasn't your day. Things didn't go well for you, but you also didn't get super triggered. You didn't get red in the face. You didn't throw your hat on the ground. So, and these are all good things for me and kind of helping me with my journey. So I'd say good stuff, and let's stay tuned for that recap so we can kind of look over my trades and learn something from them. But I've already kind of looked them over a little bit, and I feel like I would have taken them all again. Maybe 1 or 2 I wouldn't have taken, but so that's good. And again, it's not going to always work out. I mean, nothing's guaranteed in this market. It's just more of, can you find an edge a little bit and keep that edge going? So stay tuned for that recap. Take a look at those, and I will be back tomorrow for sure, trading again, closing out the year, and let's have some more green trades tomorrow. So, all right, guys, this has been a Daddy Day Trader Accountability Series Day 16 update. Hope you guys had a great holiday, and stay tuned for that recap. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. All right, take care. Okay, guys, I just want to do a quick recap on each of my trades today. See if there's anything I can learn from them. Maybe where I might have gone wrong or shouldn't have taken a trade necessarily. So today I started off with ARBB, which was a leading gapper this morning. And I traded it right here as it was breaking through VWAP at 625. And as you can see, I think it went all the way up to 229 in the next candle, 230. But then it came back down below my entry point. So I was able to get out, break even on this one. I made 17 cents, stopped out around 225. So, it was a good trade. I felt good about it. I was not watching this stock at the open, which was obviously a mistake. Would I have traded it at the open? It sort of dipped down below VWAP and then came sort of coming right back up again. So I don't know if I would have traded this one. I think it halted up at 277 right here and then continued to go up. So I would have liked to think I would have traded it, but I'm not sure I would have. This was really like in my wheelhouse, kind of coming up through VWAP, breaking it, and then unfortunately it didn't keep going. It stalled out, came back down before it screamed up. So, I don't know. I don't really feel like there's a whole lot that I could have done differently on this trade. Maybe someday my stop losses will be much wider, and instead of stopping out at 225 like I did today, maybe it would have been lower and I would have caught this upswing, but I'm not there yet, and so we'll see. But fair trade. This one was a fair trade. I'm not too worried about it. It's probably one of my better trades today. So let's move on. Again, I don't know if there's much to learn from this one. I thought it was well executed personally. So I think I waited for it to break a resistance point at 225 instead of getting in right as it broke VWAP, which I think was smart because it did have quite a few taps up here, like at 225. So I got in right at 225. It then went up to 230. So, all in all, I'd say it was a fair trade. I'm not disappointed in myself on it. I don't have a lot of feedback on that one. So let's move on to the next one, which was IINN, and this was another leading gapper, but kind of a different story. It gapped up at 320, gapped up to $3.20, and then from there sold off basically all morning, still selling off. So definitely a disappointing performance on this stock today as far as a day trading stock. And unfortunately, I kind of got caught up in these breaks of VWAP, thinking that it had some potential to go back up, quite a bit, which wasn't the case. So I took a trade here at $2.47 as it broke VWAP. I don't have too much to say about that one. I feel like it was a decent trade. It was breaking some resistance levels. It was coming up through VWAP. It had some green candles. So I feel like all the kind of pieces were in place for this one to be a successful trade, but it wasn't, which is how it goes sometimes. And that one, that wasn't a bad trade. I got out, at my 1% loss, which is what I usually try and do. But this next trade was not a good trade at all. And I think this is probably should be my main focus for learning today, because I got back in at 242 right here. and I guess what I was thinking was it was okay. It's broken VWAP. It's gone up a couple cents past it. It should be able to keep going, but this one immediately, maybe it went up a little bit and then it just flushed hard, really hard. I got out at like 235, so it was like $1.50 loss for me, which is a lot because of this nasty flush here. So what could I have done differently? Well, maybe if we look at how the stock was performing, it was sort of a sell-off with some pops above VWAP that never went anywhere. So I think what would have been a smarter play on this particular stock is because it was showing sort of pop and drops against VWAP is to wait till it could break this level, 249, 250, at which point it's so far away from my VWAP break that I don't even know if I would have traded it anymore. So maybe it just wasn't a good stock. It's clearly not a good stock to be trading. It wasn't showing its ability to hold above VWAP at any point besides its initial break. So maybe what I can learn from this one is, you took your shot here on this first trade. It didn't work out. It flushed. And then it basically did the same exact thing again without breaking any higher. So it didn't go above, 249. So I think next time wait for confirmation that it's actually going to do something, because this was a hard flush, almost a 50-cent flush right here. So maybe I need to look a little bit further back when I'm trading, and then maybe not take another, break a VWAP trade until it breaks a VWAP with some actual green candles behind it, because this wasn't really a trend. It's sort of two green candles, and there wasn't a strong resistance point it was breaking. Like it hadn't tapped 240 or 243 or anything consistently, showing that it was really kind of strengthening up and going to break through something. So I'd say this was probably just a bad trade on my part, and I shouldn't have done it for the reasons of not breaking any kind of like significant resistance line. It already showed that it's going to pop through VWAP and fade. And I mean, the volume looks like it was there at the time, but it didn't break through 250. So sometimes when stocks are in that 240 to 250 range and they can't quite break 250, they're going to have a hard flush. So 250 would have been a better trigger. And at that point, it becomes more of like a momentum play for me instead of a break of VWAP. And that's not my preferred strategy right now. So I think that this one was just a bad trade on my part, and I need to be a little more careful trading this and looking back on, what's going on with this stock. What has it done in the past? Where does it really need to break to actually like move? So it wasn't VWAP necessarily for this stock, because that didn't create a movement for it. It might have been if it had broke 250, maybe you would have seen some growth or some people getting into it. So I think that's kind of the recap on that one, and that's where I had my biggest loss today, was this trade. So yeah, so I think there's some lessons learned there for me on that one for sure. So then I went on to SXTP and traded this one a few times. Let's see. So same idea, break a VWAP. It's showing some good volume here, some strength. Again, it quickly, as I got in, sold off, stopped me out. I had small losses on this one. This one was pretty contained. Felt like this might have been a micro pullback, so I got back in again, thinking it could get up to this, past this point, maybe past 143, it could do something. So, all in all, I'd say it was a decent attempt at a trade, and I'm not too disappointed in how it went. Maybe could have waited for more volume on this second trade to prove itself. I got back in kind of quick. So I got back in at 6:30, 6:39 here. First trade was 6:38. So as it was coming up, breaking. So maybe just got back in too quick. Again, not a huge loss. I went on to trade it again a little bit later. Here, I kind of felt like if this one could break a certain point, it might run a little bit. So I waited for it to break 137 and then kind of expected it to go up more. But as you can see, I got out. What happened with this one is I bought in, it went up a little bit. So I set my stop to break even. And then it did go down, so it stopped me out. So I made like 20 cents on this trade, even with like a break even stop. As you can see, it flushed all the way down to 131, then came back up again, and then did a decent run, all the way up to 153. So I wasn't in that, but again, I don't feel too. I mean, I was kind of waiting for this to happen, and it did, but it didn't keep going. I mean, it kept going a little bit. Certainly not after it would have stopped me out. So. I had patience and I waited for this to set up and it did, but it didn't keep going. So I don't feel too bad I don't feel like I messed up on this trade either. Maybe this second trade I took was a little bit too quick as it retested VWAP. So could have done without that one. But yeah. I feel like my trading day was pretty solid, honestly. And you're going to catch flushes. I mean, those happen with these types of stocks. The way they move, you're going to catch flushes every now and again. And I caught one today on IINN, and I maybe shouldn't have even been in that stock based on the way it was looking already, selling off, kind of being a little bit weak. But it was a leading gap or breaking VWAP, so I wanted to give it a try. And I'll try and be a little bit more careful next time when I'm looking at a stock. Is what's its pattern of breaking VWAP? Is it even breaking it? Is it selling off? Like, what's it doing? So, yeah. So those were my trades today. And then I traded one more stock, FFIE, which kind of similar. It didn't really do much for me. We can go to it now. It's now selling off again, but I was basically trying to buy in at this VWAP break recovery. So it dipped pretty far below VWAP and it's coming back up again. And again, these two trades just didn't go anywhere. I got stopped out twice for a total loss of 74 cents. And again, I was thinking that, with this volume, breaking a VWAP, maybe there was some potential for it to run, but again, it didn't. And it's sold off since then. So if we look kind of like back on this, if we expand out this chart here, we can kind of look at the volume profile, and it had decent volume. So there was I feel like this trade was a fair trade, sort of trending back up again through VWAP, broke VWAP, kept going up, and then obviously it flushed. So hit my stop loss. This is how it's going to go sometimes. And what I need to do is be better about catching those really big green swings that I've missed, either by getting out too early or by, not paying attention or whatever. So there was one stock I felt like I could have traded. I was watching it and then I had to leave my office for a second. And then right when I got back, this move occurred right here. So BACK was sort of trending, hitting VWAP, but it had big spreads all throughout the day. But I would have liked to think, had I been in my office at 7:02 and I was watching this, I would have taken this trade for the break of VWAP, which would have been a pretty good trade. So I just wasn't in my office right here at this point. And it's annoying when you come back and you're like, okay, and like I come back on this candle here, literally like 7:03. So a little bummed about that. That's not That's my fault for leaving my office though. Uh, so that could have been a trade I missed potentially. But yeah, honestly, all things considered, I feel like I traded pretty well today. Again, it's like when you're trading these quick moving, low float, sometimes penny stocks, they're gonna flush and you're gonna get caught in them sometimes. But the idea is that, what I need to work on is catching those 30-40% upswings to pay for my 1 to 3% red trades. That seems so big right now because I haven't been able to capture a 30 or 50% run because I'm selling out too soon, I'm getting green and canceling my trade, or whatever the case may be, or I'm just not taking it because I missed my opportunity. So I think as I do this more, I'm going to keep building my wisdom, and these trades are just going to get better and better. So I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to do the same thing I did today with a little more wisdom, another trading day under my belt, and we're going to try it again, and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm excited about that, guys. Thank you for checking out this recap, and we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Take care.